Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle, and I'm really sorry that we come into every episode laughing, but it's always Leah's fault because I had talked to her 5 minutes ago about smiling with your teeth more, and she's like, I try to smile with my teeth, and just now she's like, I try to smile, but it hurts my face. Literally what she just said, just now. All right, you guys, so I'm going to start off by asking how the sound is because we've had issues with our sound. I think I have it fixed. If I do not, let me know. Those are really great smiling faces Leah's making. Oh, and then she's batting her eyelashes as well. All right, today is the 2nd of September, 2018. It is our European and UK news show today. We have a lot to bring them. We've got the Sadiq Khan balloon. We've got Nigel in Australia. We've got Viktor Orban and Salvini. We've got some Polish stuff coming at you. It's going to be a pretty big show, right?
Yeah, so I guess we should probably start with the Sadiq Khan blimp because we did that on Friday, but we want to go over it again in case you missed our Friday show. Remember the baby Trump blimp? Well...
Volume is low.
Turnabout.
There
we go again.
All right. Well, we're gonna try something here.
Turnabout is fair play.
No, I need the. Okay, we're talking normal now. I need to know how the volume is.
A giant balloon depicting London Mayor Sadiq Khan in a yellow bikini. What I love is the little squigglies that represent hair on his body.
Oh my gosh.
He doesn't have any hair on his thighs, only on his calves. A little on his arms. It's hilarious, and I love the little lines for wrinkles.
Wait, I want you guys to see something. There is a back half to this statue.
We didn't get to see the back half.
I know. I saw it when I was scrolling through images. Somebody had a picture of it.
Raised $75,000 for this. 58,000 pounds. It's absolutely hilarious. It's not that because some of the articles were saying, oh, it was a small demonstration. No. The whole world saw it, Jack.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how
it
many
was
people
the whole
oh my gosh,
world has seen this bacon.
Right. That would have been pretty good. But
that would have been. And you know what? We're talking about satire, right?
The British are great at that, by the way.
But you're not allowed to satirize the religion that shall not be named. No. Only Christianity can be satirized. Satirized. I don't know how you say it. So the head of the Swedish Democrats, the good guys, he went on one of their local radio stations, but it's super far left. And he said that if he were in charge, they wouldn't exist. It's state-run.
Oh, wow.
And everybody's up in arms. Oh, free speech, oh, free speech.
Right.
But some of the things that they were satirizing of the right-wing organizations were, from what I understand, are incredibly crude and rude.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot with, in Germany.
Right.
What you're allowed to say about Angela Merkel. You're allowed to say...
Buffering.
Input low. Do we need to switch over to the other internet?
If we switch over, we'll lose the whole video and start from scratch, which I don't want to do. So we're going to just wait.
Not from scratch. We're just going to hang out.
There
Stream health is back to green, and we're ready
We
to
actually,
go.
For those of you that are unaware, sorry, I'm looking for something.
Yeah.
For those of you that are unaware, we do get a...
I feel like Star Wars. What happens is a trash compactor, and you get smaller and smaller. When she opens the drawer, I get stuck.
My power cord is strange. This drawer it's like Mary Poppins. It has everything that I need in it, and if I pull it forward, it will make sure that it's keeping the charge on my laptop.
Charge, large margin charge.
Okay, so now as far as the volume goes, I think we're okay.
I have no problem speaking louder.
Oh my gosh,
can do it. Just let me know.
Wow.
All right, so we're going to head on over to a really cool interview. Nigel is touring. We can do Australia this time.
Nigel is touring Australia. It's going to take me a second to get in it because we're British. It's really close. You know that?
Well, that's because it was, a British island for a while.
You can always segue with going, "G'day, mate."
I know. That's how
Nigel went to Australia.
Yeah. Well, on Friday, we got a little mix-up between Austria and Australia.
Right.
Some things happen, okay?
And we are going to go to Austria again today.
Yeah,
later.
Wiener Schnitzel and all. All right, so here we go. I'm going to have Michelle play a couple different segments from this 20-minute interview, but it's a really good interview. You can watch the whole thing. It's at skynews.au.
AU.
Australia. I know things. Check me out.
All right.
Nigel Farage, as you know, used to be the leader of the UK Independence Party. He was the driving force in the public debate that led Britain to vote for Brexit, for leaving the European Union. He's a member of the European Parliament. He's voting himself out of a job. He's still very active on that campaign, his Leave campaign. Why are you in Australia? What are you hoping to achieve by touring Australia?
Well, I'm here in Australia to talk about the global revolution, because I was a part of it. Brexit was the first earthquake. Then, of course, we had the Trump earthquake, which I was a part of too. I was out there campaigning very much, saying that Brexit means the establishment can be beaten. And there is a wave going on. We've got a new government in Italy. And my message in Australia is, you know, if you think that Brexit, Trump and Italy are just short-term outbursts of protest by the electorate and that normal service will be resumed in a couple of years' time, you've got another thing coming. The populist wave, as they call it, is going to go on rolling.
Well, of course, your first big speech in Australia is tonight in Perth. We're expecting protesters there. Do you get these sorts of protests wherever you go? And they probably act to serve as additional publicity for you, I suppose.
Well, of course it is. I mean, look, you know, it's quite remarkable in a way that these people stand outside holding up banners about misogyny and racism and homophobia and any other abusive term you can find. Do you know, I was a businessman. I came into politics because I saw the sovereignty of my country being given away to the corrupt elites based in Brussels. People I couldn't vote for, people I couldn't remove. And yes, I do believe in having a sensible immigration policy. I do believe in free market capitalism, not global corporatism. Actually, you know, the things I believe in are the same views that are held by a majority of people, not just in my country, but across the Western world. And I think that some on the left are now losing the argument. They're so desperate that all they can do is resort to abuse. In soccer terms, what they're doing is going for the man and not the ball.
Indeed, it's a familiar expression.
So there was a I'm gonna go to the middle part of this interview here, where he's asked about, and am I gonna say it right? Is it so what if you're here? There's a protest now. What happens at these protests is well, let's just let Narja tell you first.
Okay.
And different go to like 9 there. Let's go there. Yeah.
Week that was allegedly perpetrated by an immigrant, by a refugee, has sparked a very, very...
But now the whole of European politics is changing because of the EU's asylum policy. They have made a huge historic mistake, the legacy of which I think will be in Europe for many, many decades to come.
The latest flashpoint in the past couple of days has been in Chemnitz in Germany, where a murder in the past week that was allegedly perpetrated by an immigrant, by a refugee, has sparked a very, very violent backlash, riots in the street from neo-Nazi types and the like. This is the trouble, that you get these extreme ends awakened or enlivened in this sort of a debate. How do you manage these immigration issues and a debate about immigration without ventilating this sort of extremism and this sort of hatred?
I mean, who would have thought?
Can I pause this really quickly, though? Why is that so important? Why is it important that you tiptoe around? Like, I understand violence. Like, I get that.
Well, but they had neo-Nazi people giving Hitler salutes.
Okay, but seriously, people are allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be a neo-Nazi. You're allowed to give Hitler salutes, okay? You are allowed to do those things. What you're not allowed to do is harm other people. And so when people come out to call that out, then it's like, well, how do you call this out without, you know, seeming too extreme or, you know, to me that's just a little bit absurd.
Who really would have thought that we'd see the far right back on the streets of Germany? This would have been unthinkable even 5 years ago.
So even Nigel Farage took the bait. Remember, neo-Nazis are not far right. They are far left.
Right.
Hitler ran a National Socialist Party. Okay? He ran on one of the things he did when he went to Austria. Mm-hmm. They thought that he was a hero because he gave out bread to people.
Right.
That is not something that a free market capitalist or a libertarian or a founding father is going to do to win people over. Okay, so when we talk about, we have to have the same phrasing. When you say far right, they say Nazi.
Right.
So I'm not far right, and I'm not even on the right, if that's the case.
Exactly.
I'm not even there. Where am I? If there's no right, left, is there north and south, maybe?
You know where you can get your facts and your proof from this? And that is in Dinesh D'Souza's latest film. Mm-hmm. What's it called again?
Death of America.
Death of America. I thought it was going to be more of like what's happening currently, but it was a history lesson.
Yeah,
and it
where
went,
the left really came from.
And it proves that the far right, so-called far right, is not far right at all. They are left.
That Hitler, when it comes to racism, that the Democrats in the United States were even more racist than Hitler.
Yes.
So racism is Hitlerism,
yep.
and it has nothing to do. Remember, republicanism, people technically you want to say on the right. I don't even know where the right and left actually started to come from.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly do not know I know that there's been Democrats. Mm-hmm. I know that there has been Republicans. I know there's been Nazism and fascism.
Right.
But nobody during the time of fascism and Nazism called them far right.
Right.
Called them right wing because their abortion wasn't even a thing then. Right? Gold and silver was still money. We had libertarian values still in America.
Exactly.
So at what point was there this split between right and left? So when we say left, what we mean is socialism
and like communist
welfare,
exactly,
pro-abortion, and we're not dealing with the correct terms. So what you have to do is deal with the terms that people are calling themselves by, and if these neo-Nazis are saying that they are far right or alt-right, then I'm not on the right, I'm north. I'm south. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not with them, and neither are you.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
All right, let's get back to Nigel here. I just wanted to... Or you interrupted that time.
This was an anti-immigration...
And yet this is going to be Mrs. Merkel's legacy. I think it is very important for people who want to control immigration, for people who are scared about Islamism but don't want to go to war with the entire religion of Islam. I think it's very, very important that we get political parties that people can vote for that represent this majority view that exists across Western countries. If we don't, then the door is open to the far right and indeed to the far left to counter-protest.
Well, we've seen some of that in Australia as well. As I mentioned, the breakaway parties on the right, One Nation is the most prominent of those, and One Nation has talked about banning Muslim immigration, and other parties have argued that. I'm very keen to get your thoughts on this.
Because I don't need to go over and over and over again, far right versus far left, because it really is, it kind of muddies the whole conversation. But we're having a little conversation. Horatio made a message, and then I mentioned that Michelle, that I mentioned this. Just listen.
The kind of Brexit we're going to be given will effectively be Brino, Brexit in name only. So I suspect there are many more battles to fight.
And speaking of those battles, Nigel Farage, what about your political future? You've still got a seat in the European Parliament, of course. How long does that last? And what about your future beyond that? There's a bit of speculation you might throw your hat into the ring for the Lord Mayor of London's job in 2020.
Well, of course, as an MEP, I was the turkey that voted for Christmas.
Indeed.
I was the person that wanted to put myself out of a job. So provided we leave the treaties, I'm gone. On March 29th, they'll give me a bag and my door key won't work anymore. And I'll be very happy with that. In terms of the London Met, look, at the moment it's speculation. I've been approached by a group of people. Would I take on Sadiq Khan? I've barely had time to think about it. I'm considering it. But for me, Politics, I mean, I was a businessman, all right? I came into this because I wanted to change things. I didn't do this because I wanted rank, title, position in society. For me, Brexit was the great crusade of our times. It was our ability to get back our democracy, our birthright, frankly, to run our own country. If provided that's seen through, then perhaps politics doesn't need any more of me. But I think there's more work to be done.
The European parliamentarian vote.
Fantastic. So, yeah, literally, it was a group chat, by the way, with Leah and Horatio and myself, and she had sent this, he had sent a message, and then I replied, and then Leah replied, and she replied with, and there's a rumor that Nigel might run for mayor of London. And I literally messaged back, she's in the same house, and I'm like, you tell me nothing. Seriously, like, how is this that you're sharing it, you're sharing a conversation about this with Horatio, and you have not even told your dear
It's a rumor.
sister.
Now, remember, he might be, I think he'd have to run third party, so that would be, you know, a difficult sell, but I think it would be, I think we'd have to pray a lot.
Yeah. Horatio says, left and right come from the French Revolution. The way the, I don't even know how to say that. Why do you use words I can't say, man? Make me look stupid. ANCIEN regime. The aristocrats on the right, commoners on the left.
So what we have with Donald Trump's party is like left. They're the commoners.
Yeah.
You know, it's so weird. It's so weird. Stop with the right and left. It's not helpful. All right, so here's the Chemnitz rally. And like I said,
Chemnitz, I think
whatever.
is how he said it. Chemnitz.
The most recent anti-migrant protests in Chemnitz, Germany.
Chemnitz.
The city
Well, the other guy
continues to be
said
the scene
Chemnitz.
of right-wing
Nobody
rallies,
knows.
which have been met with counter-protests. Several anti-migrant groups arranged a so-called silent march this Saturday in protest against Chancellor Merkel's policies. Rival demonstrations have taken place in Chemnitz throughout the week. The protests started after a local man was stabbed to death by people the police described as being of various nationalities. Artis Pedralva was there for us.
Well, I'm here at the demonstration. It was organised by Alternative for Germany.
So I do want to make a kind of a give you a little detail. A young man was killed, and the perpetrator's race, nationality, not race, nationality, was not made known. And a German police officer has now been suspended because he wanted to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Right.
And so he released the photos. Now, when the people found out it was an Iraqi and a Syrian migrant, that's what spurred this.
Now, they explained to me that the far-right group Pro-Chemnitz that had organised demonstrations in the beginning of the week, that they had cancelled theirs and
So what,
joined
says it's
in,
pronounced,
or
like
said
he
that
said
they
it,
were going to join in
Chemnitz, like
with the
chemical.
AFD
Thank
demonstration.
you.
And one of the things we can see is, as we're coming through here, they're very keen to make sure that there's no press that are being allowed to get close to them. There's one of the organisers there screaming and shouting at the press that they need to move out of the way. This is the press. We're here to talk about you. Why are you pushing me out the way? Waiting for the demonstration from the AfD is a large crowd that's been gathering steadily at the end of the street here from Antifa, the anti-capitalist group. As you can see, as it spreads out right along the street there, they are being kept as far away as possible by the incredible...
I absolutely love that he just said, here comes Antifa, the anti-capitalist group. Well, fascism was socialism, so it's a mess. Everybody's a mess.
Incredibly large police presence. We've got a left-wing demonstration about half a kilometre that way. I'm in the middle of the right-wing demonstration, and they're starting to get, well, a little testy amongst themselves. There were certainly some of those amongst that right-wing demonstration that came here today intent on having a fight. Well, those chants of leaving press have also turned into quite violent standoffs between the right-wing demonstrators and the press. They've just seen them turf a journalist out of there. They ripped the pop shield off his microphone and were booting it out behind him. Well, the right-wing crowd that were just moments ago trying to attack the police are now being escorted by the same police officers towards the train station, just over my right shoulder, as their demonstration, as it was planned, starts to wrap up.
Some Chemnitz protesters also displayed portraits of people they said were victims of attacks by migrants. As mentioned, Saturday was only the latest day of protests in Chemnitz. Let us watch how it all unfolded.
Well,
I want to show you this though, because this is what it was all about. And I don't know the bad apples. There very well could be some neo-Nazis in there who are just angry at everything. But this to me was the part of the protest that you didn't see. These were just regular moms, dads, regular workers, just silently holding up pictures. This is what it was supposed to be, right? And so what you saw was either people paid to make it look bad, people who are stupid to try to make it look bad,
right?
Or that's pretty much your only two options.
This is the way I'm going to call it. I wasn't there. I have no idea, but I do know the way that these Soros-funded kind of events go. So, not that Soros funded the event, the anti-fascist, what they're calling left-wing protests or counter-protests.
But here, wait. I just want you to take a look. If you're looking at this, these are like a lot of old people.
These people didn't show up for all that craziness that you just saw. Right. All right? The people that were in there that were fighting, okay, I'm going to say, for the sake of argument, that there probably were extremists that were neo-Nazis or whatever infiltrated into this protest. But by and large, what we're seeing here is that's not, I don't know why I'm coughing today, that's not what these people came for. Then you have the anti-fascists that show up. They show up for that violence, and if it isn't there, they gonna create it. And that's what they do. And they make sure that they create it around people that they can tell are going to be triggered by their violent actions. Listen, if somebody's gonna come up and start talking smack and getting violent, getting up in your face, these people know exactly who to target to trigger that. They wanted to make it a scene. They wanted to make it look like all of these calm people
are crazies.
Exactly.
We want to go back to our public places. We want to go back into so we can go back into the parks without getting in trouble, so that our wives can go through the streets at night without fear of being bothered and checked out. Thousands of pro-migrant counter-protests also took this.
Do these people look like...
Those are the counter-protesters.
Oh, they are? Okay. Then even those people didn't show up for violence. I'm telling you, there are people that showed up specifically for violence to create this mass division that does not exist. So we're hearing falsehoods on both sides. I would even venture to say that possibly the violence from both sides was funded from the same source or pushed forward. These people didn't show up for a mob attack.
No, they didn't. So that's what happened this weekend in Germany. What's happening this weekend in Germany?
Wow.
That's what happened this weekend in Germany. So protesters staged mourning march in Chemnitz for victims of killer migrants. Thousands of protesters staged a mourning march in Chemnitz for people believed to have been killed by migrants following the fatal stabbing of Daniel Hillig, 23-year-old Allah from Syria, and 22 Yosef from Iraq were arrested following Mr. Hillig's death. Revelations that the Iraqi suspect had a string of convictions for crimes including fraud, drug dealings, and serious bodily injury, which earned him a 2-year suspended sentence, was supposed to be deported, sparked the public outcry.
So, So What says that Martin Sellner, Brittany Pettibone, and Michael Sturzenberger were all there.
Yeah, Brittany Pettibone was there. The anti-mass migration Alternative for Germany Party and the Pegida movement, best known for its regular street protests against Islamation and mass migration, staged the morning march in response. It was supposed to be a silent march, and for the most part, it really was. You guys, look at these pictures. Somebody worked hard to make these. These are people who were killed by illegal. If what is wrong with this versus, you know, the anti-gun people going through with pictures saying, "Oh, look, the guns killed these people."
Exactly.
Right?
I couldn't agree
Participants carried place cards bearing the names and likenesses of people believed to have been killed by migrants, including medical student Maria Landenberger, the daughter of the EU official who was raped and drowned by Hussein Kavari. Kavari had allegedly raped a 12-year-old girl in his native country before coming to Europe, claiming to be a child refugee. He was subsequently given a 10-year sentence for throwing a woman off a cliff in Greece, but spent only a very short time behind bars before being paroled and promptly moved to Germany, where he killed Miss Landenberger. While his true age was never determined, his father indicated that he was in his 30s.
Wow. Sean says, violence is the last resort of an exhausted mind. It sums up the left, who have no answers to facts. Well said, Sean.
The morning march attempted to achieve a somber and serious tone. The protests in the East German city have not been entirely frictionless, and the situation was volatile, and there you have it. So, that's what happened in Germany. And there's Sadiq, our favorite buddy. So what we have in Italy and Hungary, we're going to move on to some good news.
So what says the killer was a denied asylum seeker who was tolerated in Germany and had several crimes known to the police, by the way.
Well, speaking of crimes known to the police, actually, before I go on to this great brotherhood between Orban and Salvini.
Because that looked like a fight.
I went like this.
Okay, unity.
I wanted, talking about crimes and things like that, let me see if I can find the article where it talks about, okay, in the UK, ready? If the computer says no, the UK police force will not investigate your burglary. They're just using an algorithm to see if they have a chance of possibly apprehending the suspect, and if they don't, then forget it. You won't have your burglary investigated.
So this is exactly like our show. What was it called again? Shoot. Jim Caviezel and the other guy. Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
In Norfolk, England have dropped hundreds of burglary investigations after a computer algorithm recommended they were not worth pursuing. Burglaries in the United Kingdom, which are much more likely to take place while the residents are at home than in the U.S., as Britons may not keep arms for home defense, have surged in recent years, with fewer and fewer resulting in any meaningful police action as resources shrink and focus shifts to new priorities. This reminds me of the Pope. Ready? Hate crimes.
Person of interest.
Person of interest.
We used to watch this show called Person of Interest with Jim Caviezel, where there's a computer that it's kind of happening right now. Thank you. Baker Mom knows. It's a great show. I highly recommend this show for like everyone to watch. But so the computer kind of analyzes criminals, uses facial recognition, they use it to solve crime. It reminds me of that Tom Cruise movie. Now I can't remember the name of that one either. Pre-crime. That's not the name of the movie, but it was this pre-crime division, meaning if the pre-crime division, these hive minds decide that you committed a crime in the future,
the opposite.
Then I'm just saying it's the same exact thing. The point is, relying on a computer algorithm to solve crimes is never, ever a good idea.
No, but what really is so awful is that they have switched their priorities in your great socialist state to hate
Minority
crimes.
Report. Thank you. You guys are so good.
Hate crimes. Hate crimes are being more investigated than real live burglaries. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names may never hurt me. Okay? You're allowed to be mean to people. You're allowed to say horrible, awful things about people. Okay? How do you think
legally
that
you should not do it?
Karl Marx even got his information out there?
Yeah.
Okay? He was allowed to print this hateful, steal everybody's stuff rhetoric. People read it in colleges.
Yes.
But you're not allowed to say anything about the religion that shall not be named. You're actually allowed. Here's a guy. The book on Charles Darwin's book on evolution basically said that black people were
It starts
out
by saying that.
The descent of man, saying black people are the lowest of low. They're the link between man and ape. And then white people are the highest in white supremacy. Literally, if you want to read Charles Darwin, you are reading a Nazi white supremacy book.
Yeah.
His book is total white supremacy. The whole book of Descent of Man is white supremacy.
Right.
Okay? But it's not banned.
But it's the whole idea behind Margaret Sanger as well, that we don't talk about those bad things that they did. We can still raise them up because their work was good. You don't talk about the fact that Margaret Sanger had those exact same beliefs, implemented them via eugenics and putting Planned Parenthoods into inner cities to obliterate the black race.
So now the burglary, get this, detection rate, which is already a mere 3%, having halved from an already low 6% in 2013, looks set to decline even further, with police in Norfolk trialing a computer algorithm which recommends whether or not break-ins are worth investigating. According to the Mail on Sunday, police are simply closing cases after the machine calculates the chances of making an arrest and recovering treasured stolen goods without doing any detailed detective work, without victims being told what has happened. The fact that a police force would even consider this approach to investigating serious crimes such as burglary is a gross insult to the victims, said a person from the UK Independence Party.
UKIP.
Norfolk Constabulary claimed the story was inaccurate, as a staffer could, in theory, override the algorithm and go ahead and investigate.
In theory.
Yeah. So, using the analysis of thousands of burglary cases in Norfolk, the algorithm is based on 29 factors of solvability, against which each burglary incident is assessed. This generates a recommendation on whether the case should be allocated further inquiries. However, all cases, including those in the trial, are still overseen by members of the Norfolk Investigation Management Team, and recommendations by the algorithms can and will be overridden if the staff member feels that further inquiries need to be conducted. It's a crime. Your job, Sherlock Holmes. You're the home of Sherlock Holmes. You can't just let well, here we go again, squishing me into the back. Here we go. Oh. You cannot let crime go down to the solvability of 3%.
The rest of it is.
Where's the pipe?
I don't know.
I don't know. What that basically tells all criminals is go ahead and rob and take whatever you want, because no one will ever come after you. It will be okay. No one will solve the crime.
But I could just...
No, we're good. We're moving on.
Fine.
I know. It's great.
It's like a bag of tricks in here.
I know. It is. We're moving on from this, though.
Leah's not always the stodgy one. Sometimes she has fun.
You can have fun, but I'm moving on. So
all right.
You want to go
I could just
with
be
the
Sherlock for the rest of the show. I think that would be okay. Yeah.
Go ahead, actually.
No.
Go ahead. Put on the mustache.
Nope.
Go ahead. Put it on.
The point is, it's an incredibly scary era that we live in, when computers are now starting to take... Listen, guys, have we not seen The Matrix? Have we not seen every end of the world type movie where machines and computers take over the world because we give them too much power? I mean, come on. Seriously. This is bad idea. Oh, it can be overridden by the person investigating if they want to override it. Well, what? Listen, I want to throw these things out the window half the time because it won't let me override things. And we've got people that are probably stupid enough that they don't realize that overriding it means you get out of your office chair and go and investigate. Instead, they're waiting for the, okay, you may override this and now you may go investigate. My gosh. So, Skynet. Thank you, Brian.
In Amsterdam, there's a terrorist attack, by the way, and we're trying different titles, guys. So to go live and say, I wanted to do the Chemnitz in the title, but I know Germany is really like hammering censorship.
It doesn't matter. They're still censoring us today. We are far down from what we are normally at. They literally stole 15 subscribers from us like yesterday. I wake up and there's 15 less subscribers. Like they do that to us constantly. As soon as we hit over 10,900, they pull. I'm not even kidding. It's every single time we hit over 10,900. We're like 10,910. Boom, you're back down to 10,985. Or 885, that's what I meant. Seriously, they literally pull, they are censoring us like nobody's business. I will wear it like a badge of honor.
In Amsterdam, Afghan migrant who stabbed U.S. tourist had terrorist motive. The Afghan migrant who stabbed 2 American tourists at Amsterdam's Central Station on Friday had a terrorist motive, according to the Dutch police. Authorities also revealed on Saturday that the migrant, identified by Dutch authorities as 19-year-old Jawid S., had a German residency permit. Following an initial statement, it has emerged that the man had a terrorist motive. Police are searching his home at an undisclosed location in Germany and have taken away computers and phones.
Wow.
Despite this pointing to a terrorist attack, Dutch National Coordinator for Counterterrorism and Security Police said the national level threat will remain unchanged at substantial, 1 level below the nation's highest threat level, and the country would not increase security measures. The way the police acted shows that Amsterdam is prepared for this sort of incident. What's sad is that Amsterdam has to be prepared for this sort of incident, and we know who's coming in. And you know what? It's so weird. So, like, every time there's, like, 1 case of the measles, everybody says, oh my gosh, did you vaccinate?
Right.
Did you vaccinate? Did you vaccinate? Like, 1 case of measles. There was an outbreak of measles, and everybody gets all mad because people didn't vaccinate their kids, right? Well, there's terrorist attack, which can be stopped by not allowing these people in who are from other countries who haven't been truly vetted, and you're not allowing in the women and the children, right? Most of these attacks, all of the rapes are by men. Let in the women and children. Let them in. You know?
I think that's a really good idea. I think they should make a policy like, listen, we are only letting in women and children.
And when I say children, I mean like under 10.
Well, they exaggerate, so you should say like under 7.
Under 10. Yeah. All right. We're not talking, because they're letting in the children. They're turning out to be 30. So we're not talking about under 18. We're talking about like under 10.
Right.
So they can, grow up to integrate correctly. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, who leads a left liberal coalition government, wrote on Facebook that this cowardly deed shows how important it is to remain alert. And the names have not been released to these American tourists. So the Americans had been waiting at an information desk when they were attacked and what described a very large knife. One witness said that he saw a man with a bleeding wound to his hand and stumble into a flower shop, and later saw another man lying on the ground. This is like commonly under Breitbart London and Voice of Europe. You see tourists from all over the world going to Europe, getting stabbed,
right,
getting injured,
right,
stopping men getting beaten up for stopping rapes of their wives and girlfriends. But it's not by the native people. It's not by the Greeks. Aren't raping the people. The Germans, the Germans who have been there, traditional Germans, and it's not based on your color, because I have a dear friend who's a black German. It's not based on the color of your skin. It's coming from different cultures, right?
Yeah.
Recently coming from different cultures. Something has to stem the bleeding of the arteries, because nobody wants to go to Europe anymore. It's not the Rick Steves Europe that I dreamed of visiting when I was, in the 90s. We would literally watch PBS, and there was no cable, and we'd dream of going to Vienna, and we'd dream of going to Italy and Venice, and we dreamed visiting Rome.
Right.
I don't want to go now, because you guys, there is that off chance. It's still a chance. It is happening on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah.
These terrorist attacks and these random
but
attacks.
I know you're not on this subject at all, but the other reason why we don't want to go, and Lord willing, we will end up in the UK at some point, but we're seeing what happens to those of us that are speaking out, trying to get into these countries, trying to get into the UK. They're being thrown in jail. They are being detained. They are being sent back and not allowed into a country. Mm-hmm. And the roles have been completely reversed. They've cracked down on people speaking out against the migrant violence instead of actually cracking down on the
so there's a
migrant violence itself.
Some famous retired cricket player in London said he's moving because it's so dangerous. Gun-free Britain, 3 people shot in one night in Sadiq Khan's London. Where is Piers Morgan on this? The evil people, the bad people are getting they're getting the guns. 3 people in one night in London being shot.
Wow. Horatio says that it is like Rick Steves' Europe, apart from Paris, obviously.
No, it can't be. It's not. I don't believe it.
Italy isn't for sure.
No, I've seen the migrant camps. I've seen the videos. Now, I would say
maybe in the UK.
When you get outside of London, Britt Baza posts pictures on Facebook, and I see it, and it looks beautiful.
I think it depends on which European country you're talking about.
But it's the cities. The cities are. But when we hear, honestly though, guys, when we hear Paris shooting, armed police swarm building as gunman holds 2 hostages for 4 hours. Armed police swarmed to Boulevard de Strasbourg in the city's 10th. I'm not sure what this is. Where they remain after a lengthy standoff. Witnesses said the suspects fired shots in the air and a bomb squad was on the scene after the suspect, believed to be from Iran, brandished a gun and said an accomplice nearby had an explosive device. Now, I don't want to... Here's the thing. Katie Hopkins sat down with the most reasonable of reasonable people from the religion that shall not be named.
Yeah, we played it, didn't we?
Parts of it, but we didn't play this part where he said to Katie Hopkins that why are all people being lumped? Why are all people of my religion being lumped into this? Blah 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 blah. But then when she pressed him further on the headscarves and the burqas,
he did say that the women that wear the burqa, that wear the entire niqab, the whole thing, the slits, the post box outfit, they are far more respected. And he implied...
How in the world do you know who you're respecting if you can't even see them?
He implied that they should be.
Right.
That they should be treated with more respect. And so even in that, like Leah said, he immigrated like 30, 40
How
years
do you
ago.
show respect to them if you're not even supposed to talk to them and interact?
But they just are respected. And so he's like, and he told her, he challenged her to go down the street, do an experiment, walk down the way that you are now, see how you are treated, walk down wearing the entire headscarf and everything like that, the burqa, the whole thing, and then see if you aren't treated with much more respect. I think she actually did it. I don't have that video, but I don't know what the result was. But the point is that his opinion was that she would be treated with far more respect, as she should be if she wore it.
And I don't want to be in a place like that.
Right.
I don't want to be in a place like that. That is uncomfortable. I don't want people to look down on me because I don't have a scarf on my head.
Right.
Okay, and I shouldn't have to in a Western culture, right? So back to the hostages. It's not clear how many hostages the man had in the building. He was said to have barricaded them in, but a witness said he appeared to douse hostages in gasoline. According to reports from the media, shots were fired in what police called a serious incident, and one hostage was a pregnant woman who has since been rescued. So there's this Paris shooting. France Interior Minister said the man has since been arrested and 2 hostages have been rescued. The Interior Minister official said his demands were really vague and incoherent. The negotiator had difficulty understanding. The man has demanded to speak to the Iranian embassy so he can deliver a message to the French government. More than a dozen police flocked the street. The standoff comes after a flurry of attacks claimed by ISIS in France, such as the killing of a 29-year-old man in Paris last month, which also saw 4 injured, and a man who shouted Allah Akbar before. Today, the EU announced a massive crackdown on terror-related videos on the web and a crackdown on extremism amid a rise in terror-related attacks in London, Paris, and Berlin. Yay, that's going to work.
Wow.
That's going to work. Way to go. Not going to work. Young man dies while trying to protect his girlfriend from 3 Asian migrants in Greece. On August 16th, near the hill of Philopapo, underneath the Acropolis in Athens, a gang of 3 migrants attacked a young couple during the night, according to the reports from Greece. The migrants tried to separate the 23-year-old Portuguese woman from her boyfriend. The young Greek reacted immediately, fighting all 3 men. Wow. During the fight, the 25-year-old Greek fell off the cliff, resulting in fatal injuries. The gang fled due to the screams of his girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
Though the police there arrived immediately, the culprits managed to escape. An ambulance took the victim to a local hospital where he died.
Oh my gosh.
This hill is one of the most visited tourist sites in the area. So in Athens, Greece, you can be raped, and if you try to protect yourself, you can be thrown off a cliff.
Or try to protect someone else.
So I don't want to go. I'm not going right now. I'm not going. I'm not going, okay? It's too scary. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to carry any firearms or anything, so that just makes it worse.
Well, I was even thinking about my knife. Like, I don't go anywhere without it, and I was thinking about visiting the UK, and I'm like...
No, that makes me feel safe, and in some places you're not even allowed to carry pepper spray.
I know.
In Belgium, there's a Belgian knife attack. 3 dead in restaurant stabbing horror. 2 women and their attacker are dead following a stabbing in a restaurant in Belgium, which caused helicopters and ambulances to scramble to the scene. Okay, guys, you're going to have 2 kinds of violence if you come to America, okay? Besides terrorism, which we really don't have a lot of, praise God.
We have gang violence.
Gang violence. You know that if you go into certain areas, you could be part, and we know to stay away. It's gang violence. We know it's there. Okay? I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying that I know answers for that, but it's gang violence. Okay? These are not, and we have just regular people who just get angry at people violence.
Well, yes, there is that. But back to the gang violence, if we are trying to do some sort of comparison here, we can look at the fact that in the inner cities, it doesn't matter what race you are. If you are a member of a gang, you are going to be predisposed to being a violent person.
Or to die yourself. This is black on black crime in America.
Or to be a victim. But my point is, in America, it's okay to say gang members are dangerous.
Right.
They are part of a gang.
Right.
And it's dangerous. It's their ideology. It's their mindset. It's just their culture, if you want to say. Whatever. And it's okay to call that out. But then we look at the religion that shall not be named, and for some reason...
You're not allowed to talk about their culture.
Right. I mean, could the argument be stated that not all members of gangs will commit a crime?
Mm-hmm.
It could be argued. And yet we okay to say, if you in a gang, you might be dangerous.
Except for MS-13, they have souls, according to Nancy Pelosi.
Mm-hmm. Whatever.
Okay, so I don't want to be in a restaurant in Belgium and randomly have some guy come up with a knife and kill me. So you had the La Libre Belgique Daily said on his website, a male attacker was among 3 dead, which included 2 women. Another daily newspaper, the Le Source, the attacker had entered a restaurant in the village of Morsnet-Chapelle and stabbed a former partner. A local official has said it was a family affair and not terror-related. Okay, well, there you go. The witness said to local Belgian media there was a stabbing in a restaurant. A lady was stabbed in the restaurant. We're talking about a knife attack in a restaurant. There's 1 dead and several wounded. There are 11 helicopters.
Wow.
So this was okay. It was one of those tragedies that we talk about here in the United States, but we don't know who the guy was, right? We don't know his. They haven't released obviously his nationality.
Britt Baza says if we go to the UK, he will be our bouncer. Maia is dubbing him Britt the bouncer.
That's awesome. Okay, so funny news break. Ready?
Hey, I like it.
So I guess Bono from U2, Bono went on...
Is it Bono?
Bono, whatever. He was going on a tour, kicking off a tour in Berlin this week.
We don't even know.
And he had tweeted out, I'm told a rock band is at its best when it's a little transgressive, when it pushes the bounds of so-called good taste, when it shocks, when it surprises. Well, U2 is kicking off its tour in Berlin this week, and we've just had one of our more provocative ideas. During the show, we're going to wave a big, bright, blue EU flag.
That's so cutting edge. It's going to be shocking. I think everyone is going to lose their minds. It's reminding me of Manson and his, doing cat sacrifices on stage. Oh my gosh. Or Lady Gaga wearing a dress of meat. It's way out there, Bono. It's so far out there. Wow.
Actually, what would have been most shocking is
an EU flag. Edgy.
Yeah. No, it's not edgy and not provocative. And the fact that you think it is embarrassing.
Oh my gosh.
It's embarrassing. You have just showed your age. You're like, I'm edgy. I'm going to drink coffee before bed.
Whoa. That's impressive. That's really out there. Oh my gosh.
So his radical act prompted so much derision from Brexit supporters.
Radical.
With commenters including as YouTube Paul Joseph Watson suggested it was ridiculous to characterize support for a supranational bureaucracy led by unelected political appointees and backed by global banking corporations as in any way transgressive. Dude, you literally are the elite. That's the elite. Those are the dudes. Those are the George Soros. Those are the billionaires of the world telling all the little peons what to do. You're literally siding with the kings and the queens and everybody. So get this.
It gets better?
Yeah. The singer Bono, whatever, was struck mute on stage in Berlin right at the start of his tour. Has thus, therefore, caused much amusement with labor leave activist and trade union leader quiping there is a God. We don't know what has happened, and we're taking medical advice, read a statement signed by the band members. So he was in great form and in great voice prior to the show, and we were all looking forward to the second night in Berlin, but after a few songs, he suffered a complete loss of voice.
You know, I think that it was really mental. I'll tell you guys a little story. The first time that we ever met Kansas in person, this goes back a few years. We picked him up at the airport. I was so excited, like a little sister, for him to come. Like, so excited. I'm thinking, I'm going to be funny. I'm going to be witty. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to have all these great stories to tell. And I'm thinking, I'm really building up this visit. It's going to be so big, and I'm going to be just super awesome. I wake up the morning we're supposed to pick him up from the airport. Nothing. I cannot speak at all. It had to be mental.
So it wasn't funny. It really wasn't funny. It was shocking, actually. Like, and it's never happened in your life ever, and it's never happened since.
For those of you that don't know, on the show, I don't want to say that Leah's a little bit different, even though you are a little bit different. I am way different because I let Leah do all the talking. In real life, I can talk water uphill. I mean, it's been one of those things where it's always a running joke. Just the other day with Janet, we were talking. I said, I can be quiet or silent, and she was like, because I talk all the time. I'm just one of those little kids. And I was planning on carrying this entire visit myself because I'm so great at that sort of thing, making it not uncomfortable and really fun. And so I'm just left completely mute, and it's just Leah and Matt and me miming.
Literally miming.
And then she goes to play songs for him, and I'm so excited, and I'm just having to sit there, and I can't sing. I think Leah was actually thinking there is a God. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, like, I couldn't say a word. And that went on for the entire time he was here, maybe a few days after, and then it took me about 4 weeks for my voice to completely come back.
But it's never happened to you ever again.
I know.
And you didn't like talk a whole bunch prior.
No. It wasn't that at all. I didn't wear my voice out. I just literally, I don't know. Does anybody have a medical,
here's the moment.
This is so great.
Before we left the dressing room, I was ready to sing for you. So something's happened. I think it can't take long. It's not right for you. It's used to silent but so I have an idea. You can check this with people. I'm sure this is a big problem, but I'm going to have to do something. So either if people want to go, that's fine. We'll play another show for you some other time. If you want to stay, we're going to have to break for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. I don't know if I have what's happening.
That's fantastic. Let's break the 10 minutes. Thank you. Whoops,
so here's the thing.
Whoops.
I actually don't think Bono is like an evil dude or anything, but when you side with evil and you wanted to literally... Here's the thing. That EU flag to me has come to represent such incredible evil.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to compare it to a Nazi flag. It needs to be its own evil. It needs to own itself. Okay? Remember, guys, the EU was started by Nazis.
Yes.
Just like
they rolled over.
They rolled over. Their whole dream was to take over Europe. So when we're talking about evil, we're talking about controlling people. These same people are getting rich and off of other people. Right. And it's wrong. And they're hurting people. And so...
They're toppling nations, essentially. I mean, they really are engulfing them. They are causing every country to morph into the same color of, we can just say blue, that they are. I mean, seriously.
This is a really good article that goes with that.
Great.
Because Macron tells Denmark.
I think it's like, not sympathy.
Yeah. Psychosomatic.
No, not that.
There's no such thing as a true Dane or a true Frenchman, that you're all just Europeans. That is the essence of the EU.
You know what
that's what waving the EU flag means. It takes away who you are as a human.
Right. It also kind of, you can reduce it to something as simple as there is no man, there is no woman, there's only humans.
But soon it won't be humans. We're just all animals, and soon we're not animals. We're all just plant animal.
Appreciate
and
the
soon
male
we're all just dirt
gender a lot. But I wake up every day and I'm like, God, thank you for making me a female. I'm serious. Like,
it's like saying thank you, Clinton's not president.
I mean, seriously, I like men. I don't want to be one. And I think that feeling should be mutual. You know what I'm saying? So we should cherish our uniqueness, and we should be proud of what makes us who we are, including our nationality. We don't have to just let go of everything.
Here's the thing. I'm an American. So I'm an American first, and then we're kind of a mutt, but you guys know that we're like half Scandinavian, mostly Swedish. But that's not
Irish, German.
But that's a nice thing to think of, but I'm an American.
Yeah.
Because I'm here and I'm born here and I'm part of this country.
Sure.
Right? And so being part of your country, here's the thing, you're not gonna live and die for your group of people unless you feel part of that country. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think people should have to live and die for the European Union, right?
No. All right, let's hear your
So
article.
French politicians have reacted with anger after Emmanuel Macron asserted that true Frenchmen and Danes do not even exist, and attacked the people he rules over as stubbornly resistant to change while on an official visit to Denmark. The French president made the remarks while on a 3-day tour of Denmark and Finland, where he is hoping to establish a progressive arc of nations supporting his vision. Remember, and no, this is baby Macron. They use it. I need to remind everyone, this is your friendly reminder that Macron married his teacher.
Yeah.
Who had children in his 8th grade class who fell in love with him while he was in her 8th grade class, and a woman in her mid-30s. This is not a sane dude.
You go to jail here in the United States for that.
His mama and his daddy begged for her to leave, and she's like, I can't promise that I won't have more relations with your son. He's just so amazing, this 14-year-old I'm so in love with. I have children his age, 3 of them. No, Jack. This boy is mentally unstable. Okay? He has been groomed and messed up since he was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
All right? And so he's being used by Mommy Merkel and his mommy wife and Daddy EU. Okay? He's a puppet on a string. George Stinky Soros has got this boy put in this place. Why do you think they advertised him as being president with his shirt off on the front cover? That does not say, hey, I'm the leader of France. Check out my abs. I'm awesome.
It actually kind of
He's
does,
not even that awesome.
A little bit weird.
But that's the way they try to get to these people.
Exactly.
That shows that some of these French people are cray-cray. You do not vote for people just because...
Based on seeing their naked body.
No, dude. It's so insane. So he wants this progressive arc of nations supporting his vision of a globalized EU superstate that is, in its essence, Nazism.
Yeah.
But what they're doing by bringing in the migrants, I believe, is like, see, we're not really Nazis. We're letting all these colored people in. We're not being, and that's them, by the way, being racist. And that's their way. In my opinion, that's their way of saying we're not Nazis, because see, look.
Yeah.
But in every way, they're Nazis.
Exactly.
So what Nazis do, and what horrible evil, it's just evil. It has nothing to do necessarily with Nazism or anything. It's just evil.
Yes.
They find another way to control people. So this is their way to control people. When evil people find that one avenue doesn't work anymore, then they try another avenue. Right? Which would revolve around a liberal conception of human rights, whatever that is, ahead of the European Parliament elections next year. Speaking for a gala lobster dinner on Wednesday. What about the lobsters? At which Denmark's Queen Margaret was in attendance, he praised the Scandinavian nation as one which is completely open to the rest of the world, and compared with a France whose people, he said, shows a ghoulish, stubborn resistance to change. So he went to another country, totally bashed his own people, so embarrassing, and he said France has a deep and complex identity which has always been thought of as universalism. The former investment banker said before, stating he believes he has succeeded in provoking cultural change in the native since his election year. People are changing their minds. They are more open to risk. Risk
like
being
safety.
Stabbed?
No.
What raped? What is wrong
safety.
with you?
Safety is good.
You'll see a France transformed
Safety
by its
first.
people. Asked by a Danish student about the future of national identities in Europe, he says, "The true Dane does not exist. He is a European. Even your language is not just Danish. It is European. The same is true for the French." The president's performance overseas attracted ire from French politicians, including this guy, far-left populist, Alexis Correbe, who accused him of having not only shown contempt towards his own people, but also of displaying an astounding level of stupidity, tweeting that Macron was ignorant of the facts that the Gauls were great inventors.
Wow.
So, I honestly don't know who these Gauls were. Maybe it's my horrible history, but I usually know things. I don't know that.
You don't have to tell them you usually know things. They know.
All right. But on the other side, are you ready?
We're ready.
Italy and Hungary to the rescue. In Poland, by the way. We're going to get there. We are close to a historic turning point at the continental level. Oh, by the way, Orban said Salvini was his hero. I'm loving this more every day. This is like the battle of the Titans, right? So then you've got like the Avengers coming in, Nigel Farage. Someone needs to do an Avengers with Nigel Farage, Donald Trump, Viktor Orban, Salvini, Marine Le Pen,
gosh, please,
Geert Wilders.
Please, somebody do that.
You guys, think about all these leaders that have risen to the top.
Yeah.
There are so many
Please
leaders
do
who
that.
have risen to the top, the
Yes.
cream of the crop, right? And it's fantastic to see these guys, and they're happy. Like, they're happy. Macron is crybaby with his little baby bottle and pacifier, right? What you accuse somebody else of is what you're guilty of. Sadiq Khan, he's angry. Theresa May even tried to get her groove on. Michelle had to bring that up again.
Except for the other video was better without the
Sorry.
first word rap.
Sorry, but it was funny.
It was funny.
Okay, Theresa May went to Nigeria and did a little... No, Kenya, I'm sorry. Kenya and did a little dance. And don't worry. Theresa May says quite all right to kill white people and take all their cars.
Well, what she says is it's as long as it's done legally and democratically, it's okay.
Yeah, that's what they said about the French
Are we
Revolution.
going to talk about that again today at all?
Maybe, but let's get to some good news here. We are at a historic turning point at a continental level. I am astounded at the stupor of a political left that now exists only to challenge others and believes that Milan should not host the president of a European country, as if the left has the audacity to decide who has the right to speak and who does not, and then they wonder why no one votes for them anymore. Italian Interior Minister Matteo Salvini saying, I think the EU said, why are you hosting Orban?
Right.
This is the first of a long series of meetings. They're trying to create a brotherhood, right? And they're gonna bring in more, right? Meetings to change destinies, not only for Italy and Hungary, but for the whole European continent, he said. We need a new European Commission that is committed to the defense of Europe's borders, and that is why Europe okay, you guys. So Europe has always had borders. And I'm going to get to this Polish guy who defended the capital of Austria, Vienna, in 1683. That's pretty good. Right? Hopefully it was 83, not 93, but close enough. So to keep back the Ottoman Turks, right? Or otherwise, as the Polish minister said, y'all be speaking Arabic today if it wasn't for our Polish king, right? So you do need a group of people to defend Christian values, and it's Christian values. I wanted, some people say it's like white values, but it's not.
Right.
Actually, somebody on Twitter said, you know, it's this white culture that created like higher thinking. No, Jack. Remember, you still had pagans and people sacrificing things, and you had Halloween and crazy people thinking that if you saw a black cat, then suddenly, you know, you're going to have black curses on you, and they had, you know, they had spirits and all kind of stuff, and they were, you know, there's civilization, and then there's uncivilized. Uncivilized people, I'm not going to go there. It was a bad thought.
Okay, so Pablo on Facebook Live says Orban kicks out Soros company from Hungary.
Yes, he does. Yeah, that's another headline. So George Soros was funding a lot of education for illegal immigrants,
right?
And Soros Orban is
giving him the boot.
Yeah. So, anyways, what you have is Christian civilization enlightening the mind. Put on some clothes. Right? Let's build some houses.
Right.
Let's start farming. Let's create some plows.
Yeah.
Let's have some plumbing, you know, that might be some good things. I was thinking about Rome, right? Romans were considered white. They still punished people by crucifying them on a cross.
Yeah.
Right? They still threw people to the lions. They still had the gladiators. They still had
uncivilized.
It wasn't civilized. Civilization came about through Christian values.
Right.
And whether you know it or not, all of Western and even like Russian values come from Christian values, where you look at the whole person and each individual as valuable, as a gift from God, and then they have the soul of soul
I agree.
that can be loved by God. So and this is the difference, and this is what you guys have to know. What I love about Salvini, and I'm sure that he's got some crazy corrupt past, I don't know. But he is embracing Christianity, but not the present Pope Francis.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Viktor Orban is embracing Christianity. Putin is embracing Christianity.
Yes.
All these great leaders. Trump is embracing Christianity. Nigel Farage promotes Christianity.
Yes.
Even
and
Katie
Christian
Hopkins
values.
Katie
with
Hopkins,
all her swear words.
Marine Le Pen.
Yeah.
Even Gert Wilders Christian values.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the difference, that you literally see this clash, and I'm hoping that we have some good, real Christian ministers that can rise to the top and not be corrupt and show people, hey, more along the lines of our founding fathers' Christianity, right? So Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban and Italian Interior Minister Matteo Salvini have pledged to create an anti-immigration axis aimed at countering the pro-migration policies of the European Union.
Wow.
Meeting in Milan on August 28th, Orban and Salvini vowed to work together with Austria and the Visegrad Group, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, to oppose a pro-migration group of EU countries led by French President Emmanuel Macron. So when you add Italy, it gives this Visegrad Group weight.
Yes.
Okay? Because you have former communist governments, and they are weaker in this fight, where you have Brussels and Belgium and Germany and France strong-arming everybody else.
Exactly.
But Italy is up there, right? Mm-hmm. Italy's like right under, right under France, as in power struggles for the EU.
Right.
And so when Italy throws its weight with the Visegrad Group, then they are one more rung up to try to fight at least France. Still, France and Germany are unstoppable at this point. But because the populist movements are rising, there might be some sway there. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, Italian Minister Matteo Salvini met. So Orban and Salvini are seeking to coordinate a strategy ahead of the March 2019 European Parliament elections to defeat. Now, here's what we're talking about is the EU Parliament elections, where we know for a fact that George Soros has at least 1/3 to 2/3, we don't know how many, on the take. right? Who if Soros calls them up and says, "Hey, vote this way," they'll vote this way. So what they're trying to do is bring up better MPs from their countries to put them into Parliament and try to make a sway there.
MEPs, not that it matters.
MEPs, right? You've an alarm going off. To defeat the pro-immigration Party of European Socialists, PES, a pan-European party representing national-level socialist parties from all EU member states. The objective is to change the political composition of European institutions, including the European Parliament and the European Commission, to reverse the EU's open-door migration policies. Now, Bannon has set up a small but growing super PAC, I don't know what they want to call it, but just helping these guys get their message out. Because you could want to run for an MEP, but how do you get your message out? How do you get your message out on social media? Who do you go to? Where do you hold your rallies even? This is like the little details. I mean, you can't just like wake up one day and say, I'm going to run for the European Parliament.
Exactly.
How do you get your voice out there? How do you maybe band together with other people?
It's the exact position of a campaign manager, but he's doing it for everyone that wants to join. And that, to me, is what is so wild. You want to talk about being wild and on the edge, Bono. What he is doing is very edgy. He's like, all right, I have these skills, and I'm going to give them to all y'all. Come as you are. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's get this ball going. And I think it's going to be successful. I am highly, highly positive about this movement.
So, in Europe, you have way more brainwashing of children from the time they're kids than even here in America. I mean, we had our own, separate institutions, educational institutions based on the Word of God.
Right.
So it's harder not to crack in Europe because the way more brainwashing from the time you're children to be cohesive and to be, led by the state, which our whole country is founded on not being led by the state, but individual rights. The kids just aren't taught that, in those countries. So it's a more uphill battle. But I think the more time we get the gospel out. So Salvini says, today begins a journey that will continue in the coming months for a different Europe, for a chance of the European Commission of European policies, which puts at the center the right to life, work, health, safety, all that the European elites, financed by the billionaire Hungarian philanthropist George Soros and represented by Macron, deny. We are close to a historic turning point at the continental level. I am astonished by the stupor of a political left that now exists only to challenge others and believes that Milan should not host the president of a European country, as if the left has the authority to decide who has the right to speak and who doesn't, and then they wonder why no one votes for them anymore. This is the first of a long series of meetings to change destinies, not only of Italy and of Hungary, but of the whole European continent.
How's the volume now, guys?
That Viktor Orban added, and I don't have a Hungarian accent, sorry. European elections will be held soon, and many things must change. At the moment, there are two sides in Europe. One is led by Macron, who supports mass migration. The other side is led by countries that want to protect their borders. Hungary and Italy belong to the latter. Hungary has shown that we can stop migrants on land. Salvini has shown that migrants can be stopped at sea. We thank him for protecting Europe's borders. Migrants must be sent back to their countries. Brussels says we cannot do it. They say it was impossible to stop migrants on land, but we did it. Salvini and I, we seem to share the same destiny. He is my hero! Macron responded, if they want to see me as their main opponent, they are right to do so. It is clear that today a strong opposition is building between the nationalists and the progressives, and I will yield nothing to nationalists and those who advocate hate speech. Salvini fired back. From the beginning of 2017 to the present day, the French of do-good Macron has rejected more than 48,000 migrants at the Italian border, including women and children. Is this the welcoming and supportive Europe that Macron and the do-gooders are talking about? Instead of giving lessons to others, I would invite the hypocritical French president to reopen his borders and welcome the thousands of refugees he promised to take in. Italy is no longer the refugee camp of Europe. The party of smugglers and do-gooders is over. And in July, Salvini said that he wanted to create a pan-European network of like-minded and national parties to win the Italian elections. We had to unite Italy. Now we have to unite Europe. I'm thinking about a league of leagues of Europe, bringing together all the free sovereign movements that want to defend their people and their borders. Salvini proposed that the network include Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz, Dutch Freedom Party leader Geert Wilders, France's National Front leader Marine Le Pen, and Hungary's Viktor Orban, among others. He also said that the European, I have goosebumps, Parliament elections in 2019 should be a referendum on a Europe without borders versus a Europe that protects its citizens. And had some tourists come back and feel safe. Salvini has repeatedly criticized the European Union over mass migration, accusing the bloc of having abandoned Italy as it struggles to deal with more than 600,000 migrants who have arrived in the country since 2014. The problem has been exacerbated by EU regulations. So we have been doing this since January of 2017.
Yes.
In a very short period of time, we have seen elections and leaders rock Europe.
Yeah.
Why? I believe because we are getting the voice out. We're part of it. You're part of it. We're a tiny part.
Yeah.
But we're part of it.
Yes.
We have come together, and I even had to dream. I have dreams about coming to talk to you guys, and how we have all these people from all over the world.
She does have
coming
these
together, right, to meet and to talk about these things.
Right.
We got people from Germany, people from Poland, people from Australia, people from all over the United States. People, not too many French people, but I'm sure we've a few. We've gotten letters from some.
Yes.
I got a letter from Spain the other day. We get our UK viewers. Rock on. We kind of, I didn't know how we had such great brotherhood with our cousins across the pond there. It's so exciting to see this, and I have to tell you, this is the vision of true, if you want to call it true republicanism or true democracy, that our founding fathers had.
Absolutely.
John Quincy Adams and our founding fathers would sit there saying, oh my goodness, you guys, this could go worldwide.
Yeah.
This freedom, the idea of John Locke, I have goosebumps all over me, the ideas of John Locke and of William Penn and of William Bradford, even our great pilgrim that came from the UK to start a new nation here, saying, you know, we have individual rights. We have a right to life, liberty, and property. And we have a right to protect ourselves.
It was going to spread. The French tried. But what the French proved is without the power of God, without having your foundation based,
crazed people
biblically,
that get angry.
Exactly.
And so if all you are angry at the rich elite. See, the Americans weren't angry at the rich elite. We didn't want to take anybody from anything from anybody.
Exactly.
We didn't want to take anything. We just wanted to be autonomous ourselves.
Right.
So what you have in the French Revolution, what you have with the fascists and the socialists and the communists is that person over there has too much. I want to take it, but then I don't want to work.
But even if it's a Robin Hood movement, that person has too much. I'm going to take it and give it to the poor over here. It's still wrong.
Right. You have to find, So it's not about, the American ideals aren't about rich elite versus the poor.
I'll tell you though, I didn't mean to cut you off. You did that to me. I'm really sorry about that. I'll tell you the difference is when you see a rich person that has what they have because they stole it on the backs of like slavery and illegitimacy and wrong, very, very wrong, corrupt deeds. That person then goes to jail because what they did was so wrong. And then their funds can be redistributed however, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So there is that in there. But if somebody gets their money rightfully, in the sense that they don't deserve to go to jail, you cannot take what they have. And that goes with the free speech as well, with Alex Jones. If he does not deserve to go to jail because of what he has said, then you can't censor him from a public sphere. Yeah,
so I wanted to get, I guess it's not coming up on the Zero Hedge article, but I think in addition to this article, we're going to keep reading this because it's so powerful. This is our main story of Europe coming together based on the rights of man. And you need to know your rights. And so I do suggest you read John Locke's. Really simple. The first treaty is okay. Talks, there's no divine right to kings. The second treaty basically goes through your rights as an individual, your rights to protect yourself. Under the second treaties, our founding fathers would be rolling over their graves because John Locke made it clear that if someone comes to take your property, they're coming against your life, and you have a right to take their life.
Right.
Because they're coming against your life.
Right. It doesn't matter if they're coming to just steal something small from you. They are coming against your life, and you have a right to protect yourself with force.
They
protect
have
your property with force.
their right to life by taking your things, which is part of who you are,
and that's
your
huge.
life.
And it's not wrong.
And the idea of governments are only supposed to be formed
to protect
your stuff and your family and your well-being.
Exactly.
It's not designed for health care. As badly as people need health care, that's not why governments are formed.
Exactly. That's why charities are formed. So if you would like to have that, then you form a charity in your society.
And that's why you encourage Christianity. So people put their little butts in church, and they're told by their ministers to stop being so selfish. Now, here's the difference between a socialist and a Christian, okay? Christians encourage people, hey, why don't you come to church? We're going to teach you about Jesus. Okay, and Jesus says, give to the poor. If you have, if somebody comes and asks you for a shirt, give him a coat also, meaning if somebody needs something and you have the ability to help people. Right. He also says, how selfish is it for you to see somebody poor and naked and hungry and just say, hey, Jesus loves you, see you later, high five, I'll pray for you.
Right.
If it's in your ability. So as Christians, we're supposed to encourage people. And I encourage people, if you have a lot of stuff and there's poor people around you, you need to be giving it. I'm not happy with millionaire Christians.
Thank you.
Okay? I feel like it's incredibly selfish and self-centered, but I'm not going to use government means to go and take it from people, but I will stare them in the face and I will say, you are incredibly selfish. Jesus is not happy with you right now because you're living a life running around in your Ferrari, living in your big mansions, and there are hungry, poor people out there. You're not a real Christian, okay? You're not going to heaven. And that is my threat to you, okay? Because the Bible said true religion and undefiled is to take care of the fatherless and the widow. So if you have a lot of money, what Paul says is, you know what? It's hard to be a Christian and be rich. If you're going to be rich, you have to be willing to be giving all the time. Okay? Not of necessity, or not because you feel like you have to, because you want to. If I have something and I see somebody and I have the ability to make their life easier and make their life better, then I'm going to do it. But that's the difference between the socialists who come and come into my house and decide how much I should have and how much I should give. Okay? They literally come into my house. I'm going to come into your house with the word of God and with my words and beg and plead and try to convince you to not be so stinking selfish.
Well, but then you're going to stand outside their door and knock and say that maybe.
Yeah, hey, we're having a food drive. Got some canned goods. Actually, I would say, hey, you got some extra land. Can we use it for a garden for these people over here? Mm-hmm. Things like that. So that's what has happened is Christianity's message has been diluted because you got the whole Scrooge mentality. Are there no workhouses? Right? No, you, brother, you're rich. You give to you just take care of your one worker, Bob Stinking Craggett, and little Tiny Tim right there. Okay? Take care of Tiny Tim. Take care of your Bob Crackett. If you are a CEO, if you own a business, take care of your Bob Crackett. Take care of your Tiny Tim, and you'll feel better about yourself.
Isn't it Bob Cratchit?
Cratchit. Whatever. Okay, so South Africa.
But I'm with you 100%. These people are with you.
Our voice.
100%.
Our voices, and Donald Trump's voices.
And your voice in particular.
Have made a difference in South Africa.
Yes.
Because they have withdrawn the bill to confiscate land without compensation.
What?
They have withdrawn it. Doesn't mean that they're going to work on it and bring it back. But as of right now, they have withdrawn it.
Oh, my. So I'm glad that you brought that up and that should be celebrated. Rah, rah, rah. Exciting. I hope you guys understand what Leah said, but I was hoping that you would bring up South Africa today because there was a comment on our one of our last streams. I really don't even have time to bring it up. I'm just going to paraphrase it here. But it was, listen, if this land was, it didn't even say that. They just said, as a matter of fact, kind of thing, the land was stolen, and is it right for these white South African farmers to keep it?
Do you want me to go into history, or do you want to?
No, you can. I really had wanted to bring up my reply. Maybe go ahead and talk about that, and I'll see if I can find it. How about that?
Okay.
This is called radio silence.
Yeah. So I was trying to see if I could find. Here we have South Africans looting foreign-owned shop in Johannesburg. This is from August 29. This is what communism looks like. Taking that refrigerator, baby! I'm taking the fridge! I'm gonna have me cold pop. I'm gonna put my chicken in there. I got it. I'm taking it. I'm taking the fridge. I'm taking the fridge down the road, baby.
Is it a refrigerator or is it a pop soda dispenser?
It looked like it's one of the refrigerator ones.
Yeah, but okay, I get stealing that because raise your hand if am I the only person that has always wanted one of those just to keep sodas in? Like, we're remodeling our garage. If we had room out there, I would want to find one of those on discount and just keep all the sodas always in there. Like, I'm not even kidding. There's no room in my refrigerator for pop. Like, we don't drink soda. What
China
am I talking about?
South Africa
Forget that.
agreed to
Forget I
lift
said
their
that.
ties to a new level.
I never have an occasional soda.
Okay, so I'm going to just go over a little bit of this. I think I put it on, there's a picture. The Boers came in the 1600s. Real simple. Mm-hmm. No one was in the area where they went. It was arid.
Right.
You couldn't plant things. It was desert, like in Israel. People didn't plant there, you guys. It was, when I say desert, I say desert, I mean arid, like no water, right? They had to, over time, plant trees and create irrigation and make it happen.
Right.
Nobody was, and once it flourished over years and years and years of tender care for this land,
right.
Then black Africans, not South Africans, just black Africans came in, Zulu tribes and all the other tribes were like, hey, we're going to move here. You're doing a cool thing there. And for years they got along.
Right.
And then the Brits came in. Y'all messed things up.
Yeah,
Let me just tell you. Set their little flag in. And there was a horrible, horrible war between the Boers and the Brits. And the Boers tried to, hold their ground, but they lost. And they had to submit to British authority. And unfortunately, it's the British colonial authority that really messed things up.
So I found this comment from Troy, and this is on our Resistance Chicks channel. After we stream live, I download the video and I re-upload it to our backup channel, Resistance Chicks. I'm not going to read Troy's initial comment in its entirety, but he says the Boer was adopted also, but they had to conquer. Taking 90% of land is not sharing with native. That is domination. Tell me how it can be right for them to keep all that land wrongfully taken by their forefathers. Please explain. God bless. Now, Troy leaves good comments all the time. This is not a confrontational. This is a discussion. I think your history, as Leah just explained, is inaccurate, and that's okay. My response was, that's a very good question. The problem is that most of the land the Boers have was never stolen. And the percentage of land that would need to have records going back to that theft. Then you also need the defendants, it's supposed to say descendants, the descendants of the people whose land it was. After all of that, there has to be a historical statute of limitations. When a woman is raped, I really typed this incorrectly, raped or a child is molested, we have a statute of limitations. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do understand the reason for it is because it becomes difficult to prove facts that far back, etc. If 200 or 300 years have passed, or even 100 for that matter, it seems reaching to make someone give back that land because they never stole it. They had nothing to do with it. And then we have two wrongs and no right. So unfortunately, in this scenario, you would need to have the descendants, the literal descendants of both parties, the people whose land it was stolen from, direct descendants, and the people who
what they're literally trying to do is say, because you're white, that land was never stolen.
Exactly.
And because these people are black, regardless of where they're from.
You mean because you're white, that land was stolen?
Yeah. And because they're black, regardless of where they're from, regardless of where their ancestors are from, they should get it because of the color of their skin.
Right. So Troy's comment back to mine is buying stolen goods is a crime also. England, Holland, Germany, Portugal stole that land from the Zulu and other smaller tribes, then sold it to innocent people who only wanted a new start. But this did not end 100 years ago because these people have been fighting to regain their homelands for 300 years. Cecil Rhodes even took land the monarchy told him not to touch. This land was named Rhodesia, the Zulu home kingdom, Maia Valley land today. It's called Zimbabwe. Not all, but many so-called Africans are Hebrew Israelites. So I understand where Troy's coming from here now. I'm praying for more peaceful end to this reform. EU role needs exposure. It's their bid to cut costs on food imports. They still dealt with Zimbabwe up to now, but prices are way lower.
Which is absolutely insane. Hebrew Israelites, these are Christians. They're not Jews.
Right.
So it's really weird that he would even say that. That it pretty much shows that you don't know any history in that particular area when you say it's the Jews.
And so I get where you're coming from here on this, Troy, but I have to tell you, Troy's a really good commenter. Please don't say it like that.
It is embarrassing, though. It's embarrassing to say. It's embarrassing when people blame the Jews.
It is, and I don't like that on our channel. So I hadn't read the response to that prior to reading it out loud. That being said, here on our channel, the fact that we have a lot of viewers who I love you all, that often, no matter what it is, go back to blame the Jews. It always comes...
Well, these are Christians. If you're going to blame anything, you blame Christianity.
Right.
These are solid Christians. These are not Jewish people.
But here's
Israelites.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal, guys. The facts are skewed in that the Boers that went originally, most of them, I'm going to give a completely random percentage here because I don't know the specifics, but I want to say it's at least 90% of them did not steal that land. They just went to land and they migrated. And what we have right now, and this is what is so crucial for you to understand, is that the South African country, the black people in South Africa are saying, if the color of your skin is white, you have no right to be here, and the land that you live on was stolen. And that is completely inaccurate, and it is totally wrong. Then they take it a step further to say, because this so-called fact, which is a lie, exists, we have the right to take from you. I often want to call the black South Africans black natives. Here's the problem with that. If you're born in a country, you are native to that country. Granted, here in the United States, we have the Native Americans, right? And then everybody, but I am native to America in the sense that I was born here. Granted, I'm not a native, okay? The whites there are not native. But the people that we are talking about have families that go back 300 years.
Who come to America.
Who is native to any land?
Hispanics who come to America and become citizens.
Yeah.
Can they not buy land?
Right.
Seriously, it's like, it's so weird. Like, you can go, can the immigrants who become countries, can black Africans go to Europe and buy land?
Right.
If they become a citizen.
Right.
If they're born there. Can they buy land? Why is it, this is all based on the color of the skin, which is what makes it so awful.
Right.
Okay? I'm not saying that there hasn't been race tensions in South Africa, but you also have to recognize that within South Africa, it's more of a clash between Satanism and witchcraft and Christianity.
Right.
Because Christianity never went all the way down into South Africa. And these tribes practice to this day witchcraft. Yeah. They tie chickens around people's necks. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like, they have witch doctors in South Africa. One woman in South Africa said that that her fiance, this is black people, right? Fiance had to pay money in tribute to her uncles and to the males in her family, and then they had to get a witch doctor to consult with her dead relatives to see if this guy could be brought into the family. These people aren't sane. Okay, it's still, when you're practicing witchcraft, like in Haiti, that's not sanity.
But you know what? Even in that doesn't give anybody a right to come and take your land. But they didn't. And that's the fact. these white Boers are every bit as indigenous in the sense that they have been there. Their ancestors have been there. Listen, guys. People came over to America in like the 14, 15, 1600s. Okay? Everybody that is here from then is American. If you were born here yesterday, you are American. It doesn't matter. You can't just judge somebody by the color of their skin and then say all of a sudden you must have stolen that land because the entire continent belongs. And that is what it boils down to. They are saying that the entire, we'll just say country of South Africa belongs to black people.
They're saying that the entire continent belongs to black people, but the problem is,
and so no white person is if a white person buys land in South Africa, it is still stolen because they have no right to own that land. Right. That is what they are saying when they say that the land is stolen, and that is incredibly wrong. Or they settled there, no one owned the land, and they claimed that land. We have settlers all over the world. That's how the world was created. Do you think that every plot of land was bought by somebody to start with? That's absurd and ridiculous. Right. Carry on.
So here you have the mainstream media even denying that the farm murders happened.
Chair of the Center for African American Studies and the William S. Todd Professor of Religion and African American Studies at Princeton University. Obviously, a scholar that can very easily research the numbers of white farmers murdered in South Africa.
The only words we get out of Donald Trump's mouth about predominantly African countries or African descended countries is that they're S-hole countries. Or in this instance, he's really trafficking in conspiracy theories to kind of, in some ways, feed red meat to his base. This is nonsense. It's silly. But it's consistent with the kind of cultural warrior that he is. Because at the same time that he's doing this with regards to South African white farmers, I think 2 of them perhaps might have been killed in some instance.
He jokes and laughs that maybe 2 white farmers have been killed, and now it's no big deal.
Oh my gosh.
How does he even have a job? Isn't that awful?
He should totally be fired.
They have families who are crying in tears because their children were boiled like alive.
Wow.
Maybe 2 farmers?
And then he laughs.
Web reports, both the SAPS, the South African Police Service, and the TAUSA keep statistics, and both counted 74 farm murders in the 2016 to 2017 reporting period. Though these were not all the same cases. These are also minimum, not maximum figures. And on top of those numbers, the murders have been notoriously brutal. So why is it so difficult for George Soros sycophant Glaude to accept these facts?
We don't need proof that Donald Trump is a racist by finding a tape where he used the N-word. If that's the case, then we have a very narrow understanding of what characterizes racist behavior.
Shoot to kill. Come on, sir.
You don't come here with that tendons. Don't come here with that white tendons. Not yet.
Shoot to kill. Come on, sir. Shoot to kill. Kill him. Kiss the poor.
The President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, has begun, and you may have seen this in the press, seizing land from his own citizens without compensation because they are the wrong skin color. That is literally the definition of racism. In fact, Ramaphosa is one of Barack Obama's favorite leaders in the world. In a speech just a few weeks ago, Obama praised him. He praised the racist government of South Africa.
Buying stolen goods. If you can prove who had it to begin with, and if you can prove who stole it, then you can do something about it.
Right.
All right? But if something has been stolen and you don't have anybody to take it and give it back to, do you randomly just take something and give it to some other person even though you know somebody stole it? If somebody did do something, it has to be punishable by death. I mean, by prison, not by death. It has to be a punishable crime by going into prison.
Well, not only that, but, okay, so if somebody buys land, if you're talking about buying stolen goods, let's just use a good or something like that. Let's say I go and buy a diamond ring from you that was stolen, okay, let's say for argument's sake, Leah's the one that stole it. You're the one that should go to jail, okay? You're the one that did the wrong thing. I should get my money back from you, and the diamond ring should go to whoever it was. If I can't get my money back from you, then we're left at some sort of conundrum where we have two parties that have had a wrong done against them, and you are the perpetrator of that wrongdoing. Okay, so then who's to decide in that case? That's when I think a legal team would need to step in. Now that's a present day crime.
About the Boers from 1680.
Exactly. That's a present day crime where we have the person that was stolen from, the person that bought the stolen goods, and the person that not mitigated, that's not the right word that I want, but the person that committed this crime. We can do something about that in present day. 300, 400 years later, we cannot. It's not the same thing because we don't have the person that the crime was done against, and most likely we don't have the person that bought the stolen good either. And that still goes to a very small percentage of the Boers that actually bought the stolen goods. Most of this land was uninhabited and not claimed by anyone.
Right.
And Ramaphosa by name for, quote, inspiring hope throughout the country.
Gloud and left-wing hatchet queen Simone D. Sanders are funnels for the leftist narrative, herding the hypocognitive sheep into frames of dissonant outrage, as is evident in their take on the murder of Molly Tibbetts. Rather than blame Tibbetts' death on yet another psychotic, non-adjusting illegal alien, we are to believe that Trump is using Tibbetts' death, who was apparently a leftist herself, for political gain.
He's also, shall we say, playing the card with regards to the Molly Tibbetts murder, this horrific murder in Iowa. He's saying that this is a result of not having the wall.
They just look so depressed.
This is a morally debased man who will do anything to protect himself and to divert attention from the fact that he has been noted as a non-indicted co-conspirator in a felony. So this is just an example of how bad he is as a human being.
Meanwhile, Washington's bordello of creatures like Eddie Gloud and Simone Sanders continue to accept influence from Communist China's President Xi, as DC's think tanks are funded by creeping totalitarianism and a direct threat to our Constitution, as the Washington Free Beacon reports. The influence operations are conducted by the United Front Work Department, a central committee organ that employs tens of thousands of operatives who seek to use both overt and covert operations to promote Communist Party policies. Trump derangement syndrome is reaching epidemic proportions. John Baum.
So here you have a Newsweek from March 19th of this year. A white farmer is killed every 5 days in South Africa, and authorities are doing nothing about it.
That means what the Newsweek put out to the world.
Right
here.
And then this year, after Donald Trump tweets out, says white nationalists praise Donald Trump for spreading white South Africa farmers' conspiracy theory.
Wow.
So this is
and that was on the 23rd.
Truth derangement syndrome that you have here. I do want to make a note here because we're going to wrap things up. We're getting long on time here. China is the world's greatest enemy. They are working with South Africa right now. They have infiltrated America at every level.
Yep, including
in
Hollywood.
Education, Hollywood, in D.C. It's Dianne Feinstein, one of the head Democrats in the Senate. Her driver was 25 years a communist Chinese spy. We have a new movie coming out called First Man on the Moon. It was the American race to the moon against the Russians, and the shining achievement was to put the flag in there, in the moon. Well,
the tiny achievement. You said
shining.
The shining achievement.
The shining achievement was to put the flag there.
Right.
The movie is omitting the flag because they want it to be a world accomplishment and not an American accomplishment. I bet China and Chinese backers have funded this movie because they're funding all the Star Wars movies.
Right.
Putting in Asian people in every single movie. and they don't want America to look great in anything. So there you have it. I don't know what this is, but somebody share this. I'm going to play this because I think it's probably going to be good. Danish comedy sketch regarding Swedish political correctness with English subtitles. I'm going to play this right now.
You're going to read the subtitles?
Yeah. Okay. It's at the crime scene now. The Swedes are already here. I'm not sure, Kenneth. I'll ask. Who's the lead investigator around here? Lead investigator. That would be me. Scandinavian police. I'll go ahead and tell the Danish police chief. It's some hag. See you, Kenneth. John, Copenhagen police. So there's the victim. And a witness saw the perpetrator escape. Perpetrator person. Cut the Swedish stuff. In Danish we call it perpetrator. That's just what the word is. Even if Hilda Haik did it. The Danish national treasure. Do you understand? How do I explain? National treasure. Yes. What do we know about the perpetrator? You can read her. Let me see here. The suspected person is described as a human. And? Well, that's it. So that's all you have. No hair color, skin color, ethnicity. You can't connect a murder to an entire ethnic group. You can't do that. It might be very useful to know whether we're looking for a white obese man from the whiskey belt or a dark-skinned Malmo gangster. We have no gangsters in Malmo. No. Not as long as you sit on your behinds in Stockholm reading your censored newspapers written by feminized, Me Too-ish, castrated journalist that doesn't have the guts to call an asylum seeker a career criminal drug gangster. Are you done? It is a bit odd. The more people are shot in Malmo on a regular weekly basis, hang on, it went too fast. Than in the whole year in this other town. It can't be that because there's a sale on meatballs at IKEA. It has to have something to do with the tone of the debate as well. Come on, I'm the only one who wants to find the pig who shot her. Person. Hen. We're interested in catching the person who murdered the person. Now you'll stop it. I'll accept the perpetrator person could be any person. But saying that the victim is a woman is a simple fact. I mean, you can see it for yourself. It's a woman. And then it goes on to, there you go. And now she's arresting him. You can't say that anymore? No, not according to Swedish law. Well, that was pretty good. That was really good. That was really, really good. Sorry we didn't, I was reading that for the first time. I was too, actually. All right, so final story. This is political correctness gone bad. Okay. Polish MP slams Vienna government for rejecting a statue of the Polish king who rescued the city from Turkish siege. So there's supposed to be this statue. I'm going to get the name wrong. It's very similar to this Polish hussar that we have here from one of our Polish viewers. So Polish MP Dominik, I'm not going to say it, somebody Turinsky has slammed the left-wing government of Vienna after they canceled the erection of a statue to commemorate the Polish king who saved the city, claiming the statue might what? Offend the Turks. Mr. Turinsky, who made the headlines in July after a combative interview with a Channel 4 presenter, Kathy Newman, spoke with Breitbart London following the reports that the leftist coalition running the Austrian capital had canceled the proposed statue of the Polish king Jan II Sobieski, who broke the Turkish siege of Vienna in 1683, claiming it may offend Turkish residents. What King Sobieski did was an act of defense. If not for Sobieski, all Europe would be speaking Arabic. And if the Viennese want to speak in Arabic now, they are very welcome. But it's not going to change history. So please wake up, Austria, because history will not be changed. The MP for Poland's governing party for the PIS, Law and Justice, also noted that his country had not given up on the legacy of Sobieski, saying, "We Polish saved Europe in 1683." Now, we know that our Polish viewers find this to be one of their shiny achievements, and I'm very grateful that I have all these Polish history movies and books, and now I know that Poland saved Europe in 1683. So thank you. And we're going to save it again.
It's pronounced so... I don't even know... How do you even say that? Sobieski. Sobieski? I think.
Thank you. Sobieski. We Polish saved Europe in 1683, and we're going to save it again in 2018 and 2019 when we have these European Parliament elections. We are going to save Europe and Hungary with others. Telling the Austrians to wake up, how do you say, Turinsky, warned them that if they continue down the path of political correctness, you will not be free men. You will spend all of your lives, and your wives and your daughters will spend all of their lives under an Islamic caliphate. Is that what you want? If you want it, go ahead. Poland will not allow you to falsify history. Our brave hussars stopped the Muslim army, which was about to invade and take over Europe. Please remember that and be thankful for that. The statue, according to the Polish broadcaster Polski Radio, has already been completed and is waiting in Krakow to be shipped to Vienna.
Aww. Just waiting there.
So this guy from the Academy of Fine Arts in Krakow who designed the statue expressed surprise about the decision, saying there were not any anti-Turkish themes or overtones in his work. Currently, there's a small plinth on the Kahlenberg Mountain where Sobieski led his troops to break the siege of Vienna, which was intended to be the base of the proposed statue. But remember, I believe that a city in Germany allowed China to erect a statue to Karl Marx.
Yeah, about that. I'm not okay with
that. The plaque was vandalized by far-left extremists last year following a torchlight memorial to the anniversary of the ending of the siege organized by the hipster right identitarian movement. King Sobieski also made an appearance during U.S. President Donald Trump's visit to Poland last July, when it was noticed that he was placed next to a painting of the king during the official photos.
Aww.
Raf Heldy Manko, an Anglo-Polish expert on European royalty, commented on the juxtaposition of Trump with Sobieski, saying, if President Trump now believes in NATO and sees Turkey's cooperation in the region, he might want to downplay association with a king nicknamed the Hammer of the Turks. Since then, Trump has done the opposite with regards to Turkey, applying strong pressure to the Islamist government to release American pastor Andrew Brudson from prison. So let's just go ahead and play this video.
This lady from Channel 4, really?
No, with the Polish guy.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
None.
Oh, yeah, we've played this.
Yeah.
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you're asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked not about illegal immigrants, I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. This is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland, and we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
So, there you have it. So, I'm actually kind of sad because I think it's a really cool monument. And I don't know if you guys can see this picture, but that's what it was supposed to look like. And it looked pretty cool. So, I'm sorry. I hope that your monument is eventually erected to King Sobieski because I think all of Western Europe and, you know, America is grateful too because, remember, America was founded by Europeans. And if Europe had been overtaken in 1683, you know, some of those people might, I don't know what would happen, but I hope you get your monument up.
Me too. It looks really cool. I know you can't see it very well from there because I know that the TV gets fuzzy. But yeah, I really hope that it goes. It ends up being able to be put out there for people to see because it's a really cool story, and Poland should be proud. They really, really should be proud. So it looks like you have another story.
Well, I just had this other article about this same guy. Who I wish I could say how his name. He's proud that Poland did not receive a single migrant.
Dominique,
we saw that.
I'm sure.
Well, Dominique, we can tell his first name. And he says that his grandpa is a great model in the fight against communists and other enemies. He was an underground soldier in 1945 against the Soviets. He would want me to fight for my country because he fought for me. When asked if there is any situation he can imagine Poland taking Muslim migrants, he empathetically says, no, absolutely no, zero again, I love my zero. He continues why Poland should not take a single Muslim migrant. As Sweden being the most opposite on immigration, he shares his worries about the country. I'm afraid that such a strong country as Sweden loses power over what is happening in its own borders. Older generations have the great model in the fight against communists and other enemies. He has a clear message for the Swedish people, change government. The Swedish government is not impressed in accusing Poland as not in solidarity with other EU countries that receive large numbers of migrants. They're pretty much Sweden and Poland are in a kind of a battle of words. He says that our hearts are with the Swedish people, not with the Swedish elite. And he says that as there are parliamentary elections are due in Sweden, he hopes Sweden will do as Poland did by voting for a conservative government. He says Poland wants reparations for the Second World War from Germany. People having lost their houses, people having been killed, and entire countries are being destroyed. So actually, here is a case where you legitimately have a legitimate people who legitimately stole and damaged people who are legitimately still alive, and their descendants are legitimately still alive.
Totally legit here.
So the reparations from Germany to destroying Poland, and in essence reparations from Russia for taking over the country and turning it communist, that's legit, dude. Totally legit. And I don't see people calling for that because it's white on white, right? In the interview, he shares of a conservative politician killed in Poland a few years ago by leftist activists. So under communism, the cross was not allowed. It was put up a few years ago. The left-wing politicians protested that the political group is no longer in parliament, blah, blah, blah. And he is known for his resistance to illegal Muslim migration to Europe. And, he sees it. He calls it like it is. In his country, he's not censored, so he can say things like that.
Right.
We're not exactly allowed to say what we would like to say. And I say anybody of any religion is welcome, whether you're Buddhist or Hindu, as long as you want to live by the laws and walk and work and be. We were in a store last night, and there's a large Indian population, from India, and they are coming to America. They dress like Americans. They wear t-shirts and slacks and gym shoes.
Right.
They shop in the same shops. Sometimes they'll wear their Indian garb, but it's not in a protest. It's not in a way that says I'm better than you. It's a culture. It is true multiculturalism.
Yeah.
So we're not racists. We just want people. Actually, as Americans, we love other cultures. It's fun to have other cultures, but it's not so fun when their culture comes in and says we're better than you.
Yeah.
You need to cover your head. Women need to take the back of the bus. Women and men should be separated. The Indian culture that comes over here to America is not like that.
Right.
And so it's the same thing I think in the UK. There's a large Indian culture there, and they've become British. They become part of the UK, and I see people from all over the world come to America and they become Americans. And I would expect that if you go to other countries, you become like they become. But there are some cultures, as other people say, that some cultures are better than others, and some places are better to live than others. And I do not want to go to Iran, and I don't want to go to Saudi Arabia, and I don't want to go to any place that is led by predominant Muslims, because they do not treat women very well there. And I don't want to go to a place where I can't drive because I'm a female. I don't want to go anywhere where my rights are restricted because I'm a female.
Yeah.
And so saying that you don't want in people who don't view your people as equal is actually the opposite of racist. They don't want the racists in.
Right.
They don't want the So
no, I like it. It's not just racism. That's the word. We don't have a good word for what the religion that shall not be named, for how they view they view the world. They view people in general, because they do have this women are second-class citizens view. They do have this hatred towards Christianity. They have a hatred towards Judaism. They have a hatred towards homosexuality. So it's hard to class them. If you have one thing to read, I'm going to go to Jasper, and then Britt Baza has something he wants me to cover.
Salvini defended Orban. I respect Hungary's absolute right to defend the borders and security of its people. The shared objective is the defense of external borders. Orban replied, "We need a new European Commission that is committed to the defense of Europe's borders. We need a commission after the European elections that does not punish those countries like Hungary that protect their borders." And so I am excited. I didn't want to be Debbie Downer bringing up, the fact that Poland's not going to be able to put up their awesome statue, or talking about South Africa. Try to weigh the good with the bad, but we spent a year and a half talking about a lot of the bad stuff, and lo and behold, it's actually working to get people to become powerful again, to become strong, to take pride in their country and in goodness and in Christianity. And so keep hope up, guys, because things are changing.
All right, so Britt Baza has said it 800 times. You guys have been seeing it in the chat. I don't know how many times. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't read this yet. So we're just going to go there, and we're going to read it together. Scallop Wars, French and British boats clash in Channel. Jasper's stuff. Watch your hand there. Okay. All right. You going to play the video?
Why not? We are going to have an advertisement.
I'm Emma. I'm Claire. And we're the Salmon Sisters. This new Surface Go is the perfect size. When we're on the boat, I don't have a big desk to use or a studio table to draw on. Having something you can slip in your bag and take with you is really great.
Holy cow! Anymore, Jack.
So I think that was pretty self-explanatory, but we'll read a little bit. About 40 French boats tried to stop 5 larger British boats from fishing 12 nautical miles from the Normandy coast in the Bay of Seine. I don't know how to say that. Fishing boats collided and stones were thrown, but no one was injured. UK boats are entitled to fish in the scallop-rich area, but their presence has angered the French, who accuse the British of depleting shellfish stocks. Now UK fishermen are demanding government protection while the French bewail the loss of a primary resource. What exactly happened? The French boats gathered overnight on Monday in protest against so-called British pillaging. The French went to contact the British to stop them working, and they clashed with each other. Scallop Wars. Could Brexit calm troubled waters? The British were unable to match the local flotilla for numbers and were ultimately chased away. 2 British boats, Golden Promise and Joanna C., returned to Brixham Harbor with damaged windows. The crews alleged they had been
surrounded.
That's a typo. And had rocks and metal shackles thrown at them. A video on French media showed a Scottish scallop dredger, the Honeyborn 3, colliding with French vessels. A French local government spokesperson, Ingrid Parrott, said things were thrown on both sides, from the English and from the French. Both parties were extremely tense. Why it has all blown up? Tension has rumbled for 15 years, but in the past 5 years, a deal has prevailed. Larger British boats stayed out of the area in exchange for more fishing rights. The British boats can gather scallops year-round, but French law restricts the scallop fishing season to between the 1st of October to May 15th. For the Brits, it's an open bar. They fish when they want, where they want, and as much as they want. We don't want to stop them from fishing, but they could at least wait until the 1st of October so that we can share. Scallops are a flagship product for Normandy, a primary resource and a highly sensitive issue. Mike Park, chief executive of the Scottish Whitefish Producers Association, describes the clashing incident as a clear piracy. Speaking about the Scottish boat, he told BBC Scotland he's fully entitled to be there. UK vessels can enter that French zone. It's not illegal. The Peterhead vessel was going about its business. The French vessels are probably attacking it. Appeals for calm were issued by Britain's National Federation of Fishermen's Organizations, which said some boats had been filmed maneuvering dangerously. We have raised the matter with the British government and asked for protection for our vessels, which are fishing legitimately. The deeper issues behind the clashes should be settled by talking around the table, not on the high seas where people could be hurt. So,
well, the French and the English are always battling.
Yeah, they are definitely always battling.
Nothing new there.
Maia, earlier you had asked for a song. I don't think we're going to do a song, but we do have a little bit of a mail call here. And I don't know if we should do this separately because whoever sent these may not have watched all the way to the end. But we got these 2 books. Same book, but 2 of them, in the mail a few days ago.
It's kind of a mystery.
From Amazon. Did you send them? I need to know who sent them. We're assuming since there's 2 copies, it could be that this person, the author, is a viewer of ours, Jerry Spinelli. The book's called Stargirl. I think it's a children's book. She's as magical as the desert sky, as strange as her pet rat, as mysterious as her own name. From the day she arrives at quiet Micah High, in a burst of color and sound, the hallways hum with the murmur of Stargirl, Stargirl. She captures Leo Barlock's heart with just one smile. She sparks a school spirit revolution with just one cheer. The students of Micah High are enchanted at first. Then they turn on her. Stargirl is suddenly shunned for everything that makes her different, and Leo, panicked and desperate with love, urges her to become the very thing that they cannot destroy her normal. In this celebration of nonconformity, Newbery medalist Jerry Spinelli weaves a tense, emotional tale about the perils of popularity and the thrill and inspiration of first love. Jerry Spinelli is the author of many books for young readers, including Love, Stargirl, a companion novel to Stargirl, Milkweed, Crash, Maniac McGee, winner of the Newbery Medal, Ringer, winner of Newbery Honor, Eggs and Knots,
so mystery,
on and so forth.
Mystery. Who sent it and why?
It was written in 2000.
So,
I doubt that it's the author that sent this.
But
so
I don't know.
I don't know who sent it. Who are you, mystery person? Thank you very much for sending these books, but we would love to be able to thank you
mystery.
Personally.
I need to know the meaning behind it.
And also, I'm not going to show that on air, but Paul sent us another check to Resistance Chicks. The reason why I brought it is because I wanted to read what he had put in the memo at the bottom. A gift, use it well, from Paul, a friend abiding with Jesus Christ. But I loved the total, and the end of the total I'm just going to put in there is 2020. And I thought that was really fun. I thought that was a really good play on putting it out there. So I'm going to assume that Paul wanted me to read that and to let you guys know that he had put that in there because it does speak to the future. It speaks to, we have big changes coming up. There's a lot that's going to happen in 2020. And I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a battle. I think the left's going to try to take things over. But still, thank you very much, Paul, for your generous donation. And thank you for being here and watching and viewing with us. I actually got an email. I've gotten several emails for interviews with people that want to do interviews. I want to let you guys know that we do them as the Lord leads. And as we have time, we did do an interview with Chris and Kelly on Chris Holman's channel. I want you guys to check that out on homesteading, which was really, really fun and enjoyable. I've seen a lot of you guys commenting about it in the chat about Leah and the bees and how high they will fly. They will fly up in a tree.
It's not that they won't fly. It's that they don't fly up there into the trees. Primarily, that's why my balcony peppers did not get pollinated. That's what I was trying to tell people. Okay. They don't go up there. They don't hang up there. They hang down here. So my peppers, if I had been on the first floor, I would have had a ton of peppers. Because I was on the third floor, I didn't have the peppers.
I really did not mean to bring up this subject again. I didn't.
I'm telling you that this is a fact.
So there may have been this kind of debate between Leah and I on our lovely interview with Chris and Kelly. And if you want to find out how it ended, you'll have to go and watch the interview on Chris Holman's channel. But anyway, I've had some emails for some interviews. We want to do interviews. Let me make that very clear. It's just a matter of in the summer fitting it in our schedule. So I will get with Leah on that. I want to thank you all for being here. I'm sorry we're not doing a song. Thank you to all of our moderators who were here today. We go live every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, like we did today, on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember,
it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth.
We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, no matter where you are at around the world. We love having you guys here as our Resistance Chicks viewers. All right. Bye, guys.
Was cold.